Please do get involved. Like, really want to hear from you. Ask loads of questions. Jump in at any point. Tweet us, tweet me. The more you get involved, the better this session is. Really love it when it's a two-way thing and not just me delivering a presentation, but kind of a good all-round conversation, hopefully. So please do get involved. Great stuff. So on that note, kind of introduced Nina a bit earlier, but Nina's going to be on hand for QA throughout the webinar. So if you've got a question, jump in. Nina will spot it. She'll stop me and we'll go through some QA. And yeah, cool. Say hello, Nina. Yeah. Oh, there we go.
Yep. Hey guys. If you have any questions, we'll make sure that they get answered.
Cool. Cheers, Nina. Right. So, first point really is kind of what makes B2B different to just running, or not just running, but running a campaign for B2C. And there's kind of quite a few different points here that need to be thought about. And the first one is that volume tends to be far lower, but the value tends to be higher. So you really have to think about volume carefully, and then that leads into kind of thoughts and considerations around match types and, longer tail queries versus kind of head terms. But typically volume tends to be quite a bit lower. Long tail keywords are key. So usually, like, people search, like, we've found people search for very specific things when they're looking for a service. So usually these keywords are kind of 3-4 words. They're not your kind of 1 to 2 word head terms. So if you can approach the structure in a way that facilitates this, then you're going to do far better. And you really have to think about what happens next. So if someone completes a form, or someone downloads a white paper, or someone kind of gives you their details for something, you really have to be kind of building an understanding of what happens then. So, if your sales process is 3 months long, do you have the ability to tie that deal in 3 months' time back to a keyword that they clicked on, for example, or ad copy that they clicked on? And that's really key. Sometimes you can get that to a point where you can do it very scientifically and get great data. Sometimes it's a little bit softer. So it's, about getting a feedback loop in with the sales team, and, be that a monthly call or some sort of regular contact to get feedback on the quality of the leads that you're delivering. But this is really important, and it's one of the major points of difference between B2C and B2B. And then when you're looking at ad copy, credibility is absolutely key. So if someone's searching for your service cold, that you have to kind of get over, why do you have credibility? Where's your experience? What results have you delivered? And you've got very little time to do it, and very few characters in your ad copy to do that as well. So you really have to think about how you can get someone completely cold to believe that you are a credible option within your ad copy. So that really kind of means that you need to be thinking about a number of items before you even get anywhere near setting up campaigns. So, these are basics really kind of when it comes to marketing, but who buys your service? Like, what job titles do they have? What are their fields of influence? What's their typical journey like? What do they have issues with? Like, why do they go to Google? Why do they search for what they search for? What problems are they looking to solve? And then what does the sales process look like? Is it quick? Is it extended? Are there multiple stakeholders involved? Is it relatively straightforward? That's going to differ for every company and every audience. So, you really have to consider that, because that really influences what your expectations are, what tracking you need, everything. Then, what sort of keywords are going to indicate, or do you think are going to indicate high intent? So if someone's just researching for tips and advice, that's not necessarily going to be the highest intent to inquire for a a serious sales conversation. But if someone's comparing case studies, or if someone's looking for results, or if someone's looking to literally looking to inquire, then that's obviously going to be far higher intent. So you've really got to think about what those things are for your business and your sector. What makes you unique? So think about the fact that when someone searches, you've got a full page of options. You've got 4 ads at the top. You're in the mix. Like, how do you make yourself stand out? Is it, your team? Is it the results that you've achieved? Is it some sort of unique bit of technology that you've got? If you're not thinking about that, then you're going to have a very hard time attracting that traffic. And then how do we establish credibility? Like, again, it kind of goes back to that last point in the previous section, but are we putting people using extensions to send people to case studies? Are we talking about kind of revenue increases that we've achieved? All these things need to be thought about. And that's a relatively short list, but if you're starting with these points, then you're going to be starting off in the best place possible. So the first point I really want to talk through is account structure. The reason we want to talk about account structure is it basically kind of facilitates all the things that we care about. So ease of management, clarity in reporting, higher quality score, which means cheaper costs. All of these things are impacted by getting the right account structure. So get this right and you're going to have a far easier time. So just to kind of give you an example walkthrough of a very simple account structure. So let's say you offer different services. You may want a different campaign per service. You might want to do it by sector. It really depends on the makeup of your offering. But what you've got to think about is the fact that the large levers and controls are done at the campaign level. So if you want to control budget, that's done at the campaign level. If you want to control your target locations, that's all done at the campaign level. All of those types of things done at the campaign. So if you need control over a sector or a service, you need a separate campaign. Then we've got separate ad groups for exact match and broad match modified. We're going to go into keyword match types shortly, but having an ad group for each collection of keywords basically means you can do research with your broad match modified, but you can also dominate the really important search terms with your exact match from the same structure. And then having a separate RLSA campaign or retargeting, even if it's just there in your back pocket for when you need it, is a very good thing. And we're going to go into that in a bit more detail later. So match types. If you've been doing AdWords or Google Ads rather for a while, you'll know about match types. But just to kind of go through kind of just the basics on it. For me, I would always start with exact match and broad match modified. So exact match is, let's use this example of real estate CRM system. I genuinely don't know why I thought of that, but I did. That's going to trigger your ad for a query that is very close to that. It's not quite exact, it will include plurals. Google's interpretation of what is exact is changing and it's a little bit flexible, shall we say, but let's keep it simple. That's going to trigger your ads for queries, real estate CRM system or systems. Broad match modified, if we have plus real, plus estate, plus CRM, plus system, that's going to trigger your ad for any query that has those 4 words in any order. So it could be enterprise CRM system for national real estate chains. Very, very specific, very long tail. So you can see how we can use the broad match modified for research, and we can use the exact match to make sure we are constantly and consistently present for the keywords that we really care about. So the ad group structure, how this looks, you would have a real estate CRM exact match, so the really kind of important keywords, and you would have the real estate CRM broad match modified for your long tail research. And then we'd repeat that for our different buckets of keywords. So real estate sales software would just repeat the process of exact match. and then the broad match modified for research. Now, it's really important when you're setting up this structure to make sure that you are not bidding against yourself. So for any broad match modified versus exact match setup that you got, where you're kind of having two ad groups with different match types, you want to make sure you're excluding the exact match from the broad match modified. Therefore, you're not competing against yourself anymore. Any questions on match types and structure, by the way? Jeff is asking, are you seeing that BMM ads are resulting in higher cost per clicks? Totally varies. Often exact match is more expensive because it's more specific. But then broad match modified, you're going to be going broader. So therefore, there's a trade-off, like you could spend more, if that makes sense. Oh, we have another question.
We have two questions. The first one from Jordan is, do you ever use broad or phrase?
Yes, depending on volume, and broad I would never start with. I like broad match modified because I've got way more control over the the outcome, basically. And then, sorry, yeah, is there one from Sophie as well?
Yes, we've got one. She says, should all campaigns have an exact match and BMM group?
Depends on volume. So if there's hardly any volume at all, you probably can't justify exact match. But if there is enough volume and you're fairly confident that those exact match phrases are going to convert, then put them both in. Unfortunately, a lot of the answers to questions in this session will probably be, it depends. But I would start with that and kind of feel it out based on volume. Cool. Excellent. So again, like basic settings, like this is where you're going to lose a lot of money if you get this wrong. I would always, again, start with this, but start with search network only, manual CPC, and think about your schedules. So for B2B, normally I would start with Monday to Friday because, like weekends aren't always going to be particularly useful for B2B. And then location targeting. Do you want to hone in on any particular cities or locations? Get those right, and at least you're starting in a good place. Things you need to be looking for initially. So this is kind of, once you've got your structure set up, you really want to be looking for like indications of what's working, what to optimize towards. So I just wanted to put some thoughts in on that. Quality score is often the first thing you need to be looking at. So if we're talking about low volume campaigns, you're probably not going to have a mountain of conversions in week one. So look for quality score. And if quality score is good, like we can start to move towards that. So to do that, basically when you're in the AdWords UI, if you go to the modify columns view, you can select the quality score there. For those that don't know, please ask questions about quality score and we'll go into them now or at the end. But the higher your score, it's a score out of 10, starts at 5. If you're 5+, you're going to be receiving discounts on your CPCs. If you're below 5, you're going to be getting penalized, right? So the higher your quality score, the cheaper your costs. Search query reports are vital with B2B. So the search terms report, this is a report showing you the queries that your ads actually fire for, right? So depending on your match types, it's going to vary. If you see anything irrelevant in there, so let's say, go back to the CRM example. If you see stuff like free CRM for real estate, negative out free, because it's not free, right? Assuming it's not free. Watch these reports like a hawk. Like if you're launching a campaign, try and be in them every day. And the earlier you negative out irrelevant terms, the less money you're going to waste. Cost per lead, cost per conversion. You can modify the columns as well to show conversions or cost per conversion. That means you can really hone in on campaigns that are working well. And it just means you can see everything instantly. Of course, like you might have test campaigns or things that you're trialing where the cost per lead or conversion is higher. That's okay. But, getting this view means you can make decisions a little bit quicker. Search impression share. So this is the percentage of impressions that your ads are shown for, basically, right? So how much of that traffic are you actually buying? If you've got high converting keywords, you want to try and get that number up as far as you can. So you want to be shown all the time. If you've got a keyword that's doing well, but you're only shown 10% of the time, like, how do you know that 10% of impressions are the people that are looking to buy? It's kind of, you're introducing a bit too much luck into the equation. Days of the week are really important. So if you think about B2B, like, depending on the value of your product, this is going to change. So in this instance, we're hitting a sweet spot around Friday and Saturday. But, higher value, like enterprise products, like people are going to be slammed on a Monday morning, so they're probably not going to be looking around. Maybe they'll be switching off or just tidying up their inbox on a Friday, so not looking around then. You really got to look for those patterns, and you'll know if you've worked in this sector for a while what these patterns might be, but look at the data and have a look for patterns. So they're kind of like early things to look for. Obviously, ultimately, we're optimizing towards conversions, but look for these things as indicators of success and where more success might lie. Retargeting for search, I think, is one of the real key things for B2B. And if you think about it, like we've got a much longer decision-making cycle, right? So people research, then, procurement might be drawing up a short list of suppliers, and then 2 months later, someone gets in touch, and then there's a pitch process, and there's all kind of these extended processes going on here, right? So retargeting for search is when I'm saying, yeah, I only want to bid on that keyword if someone's taken this action on my website, right? So, if someone is viewing my case studies and then going back to search, that's when I want to bid on the keyword. So that's great if people are shopping around. It's good if people are viewing high intent pages and you want to stay front of mind. But I think this is a really important point for B2B. So again, like this is just showing you how it works, right? So back to this real estate CRM example, like you would not want to bid on CRM as a keyword because that could be someone looking for a general CRM. It could be someone looking for travel. It could be someone looking for all sorts of different things that aren't real estate. However, if someone's come and looked at your service details or your pricing details page, they're probably in the market for a real estate CRM. So then bidding on CRM may be worthwhile. I like the team page thing because, again, if people are looking for like a service provider, essentially they're kind of buying people, right? So they're going to be interested in the team page. So if they looked at the team page, that could be a high intent action. So you've really got to think about what those actions are and then how you want to stay front of mind with various keywords. But it's mixing actions and retargeting against broader keywords. It's essentially what we're doing. If you do it, build your audiences in GA, you get far more options. It's really easy to kind of put together an audience. Like here, we're saying anyone who views our work, which is our case studies, and doesn't convert, put them in an audience. It means you only need the GA tracking. You don't need the Google Ads pixel. So it's really easy set up. This is a massive gotcha. So we only want to bid on broad keywords if someone also sits within a retargeting audience. When you set up these retargeting campaigns in Google Ads, you have the option of targeting and observation. If you select the wrong one, you're going to be bidding on the broad keywords whether or not someone is in that audience, right? So in English, targeting means they have to be within your retargeting list in order for you to bid on those keywords. Observation means you can monitor performance against the list and you can make bid adjustments against the list, but someone doesn't have to be on the retargeting list for you to be able to bid on those keywords or serve your ads for those keywords. Note the fact that Google Ads say observation is recommended because you're probably going to end up spending a hell of a lot more money. So yeah, get this right. It will make or break your retargeting campaigns. Okay, so any questions so far? Good. Please do jump in. I think we're cool. Okay, great stuff. All right, so text ads. So the new format is extended text ads. We get 3 headlines, 30 characters each. We get 2 descriptions of 90 characters each. And we get 2 path fields of 15 characters each. So the way they look, we've got the headline 1, 2, and 3. We've got the path length, or the path, on the end of the domain. And then we've got our 2 description lines. Where I would start is like testing different themes. So test an ad based on your features versus an ad based on benefits, for example, and see what works, see what resonates. Then we've got extensions. So site links, I'd use that for credibility. Like send people to case studies, send people to resources, prove you know what you're doing. Call outs, list your benefits, structured snippets, summarize your services. And again, here's how it looks. So we've got the ad, then we've got the call outs, then we've got the structured snippets, and then we've got our site links. So we've got our ad copy, but we're adding further benefits, we're adding, further features, we're listing out kind of other resources and places people can go. And then call extensions on mobile, like really important. Like if the need state at which someone gets in touch has any degree of urgency, call extensions are going to be really key. So goal tracking, again, like sounds really obvious, but track absolutely everything. So in this example, like we're looking at Zoom, being on Zoom, it's weird. But just on that kind of top bar, we've got request a demo, we've got a phone number, we've got resources to download, we've got free trials to sign up for. So that's 4 conversions just in that view. There might be emails to click on, there might be other numbers to call, there might be white papers to download, all sorts of things. So work out what they are and track absolutely everything. If you're implementing Tag Manager if you're implementing GA via Tag Manager, that's going to make life much easier. Call tracking, so loads of different options out there, but like find one that integrates directly with GA. So Ruler Analytics, for example, you set up the call tracking with dynamic phone numbers, link it up to your GA account, and every time someone makes a phone call, that registers as a goal in GA. So really easy to do. And again, as with the audiences for retargeting, my recommendation is you set the goals up in GA and import those goals into Google Ads rather than setting up Google Ads conversions directly. It means you only have to do it once. So you don't need separate Google Ads conversion tracking. And it means that everyone is looking at the same data, which is really important. So kind of following on from goal conversions, pipeline value is a really big deal with B2B. So like I want to know if I'm spending X amount of money on this campaign or these set of keywords, what's the eventual pipeline value for the business? Otherwise, I could be just sending lots of leads that aren't really making a difference. So just like some simple stuff, Google Ads does have a Salesforce integration, so you can send your Google Ads data through into Salesforce, apply that data onto your Salesforce records, so you can track through the pipe, basically. You can also go the other way around and import Salesforce conversions back into Google Ads. So there are some kind of off-the-shelf connections that you can use. What you really want to be doing, like no matter what CRM you're using, this is something I'd recommend. So if you're collecting information through forms, so a contact form or a download form, you can enter hidden fields, which will pull the data from your URL. So if you enter a hidden field for source or campaign or keyword, you can set that field to extract that information from your URL parameters, right? So that means every time someone gets in touch, so Joe Blogs at company X has come through this keyword and this campaign, and you'll see that on his record when he hopefully signs a big deal 6 months later. To do that, though, we need to make sure that those parameters are applied to everything. So in Google Ads, you can set up custom tracking templates. So here we've got landing page URL, then we have PPC campaign equals our campaign name, PPC underscore keyword equals our keyword. And it's as simple as that. That will populate the URL path with the keyword and the campaign that they came from. If you've got your hidden fields set up, then it will collect that data, and you can go right from keyword through the form, through into your sales software, and track kind of any eventual revenue or pipeline value. So to kind of just wrap up, key things before you start, like really think about your business, your customers, what the sales cycle is, what the sales process is, and how you're going to make yourself look different. Get your account structure planned out around your offering, but also kind of for ease and control. Track everything, like any goal, track it, and make sure you've really thought about how you can track eventual revenue and proposal or pitch value back to the keyword level on your campaigns. And that is that. So yeah, hopefully that's useful for kind of everyone who's on here. Any questions, please do ask. We've got the chat open that up, and there's a QA function as well. Cool. Got any more there? So how do you exclude exact keywords from your BMM ad groups? So when you go into the ad group, go to the keyword panel, and then you'll see an option for negatives, and you paste them in. It's as simple as that. Well, so I would like to ask how much mobile speed of the page affects on quality score. Yep, speed is definitely a consideration. No one knows exactly how much speed will impact quality score, or like the landing page score, if you like. But it does have an impact. So we have a client who has had frustratingly historic issues with site speed, and they took a big dent on site speed about 6 months ago, and the quality score dropped almost kind of at the same time. So I've seen it have a big impact on quality score for sure. Jordan, do you ever use phrase? I mean, exact match changed a few months ago, maybe even a bit longer. If you look in search query reports against exact match, it's almost, their definition of exact is loose now. So it's almost phrased, right? So to me, broad match modified, exact, but ultimately I'm just always in those search query reports looking for anything irrelevant at all. And that way, at least, like, I'm in complete control of what my ads are showing for, is my view on it. Campaign tracking, do you have to have Salesforce? No, not at all. So if you're setting up hidden fields on your form for keywords and campaigns, for example, like, as long as you're capturing that data on the form entry, you should be able to fire that into Pipedrive or HubSpot or whatever system you're using. So no, it doesn't have to be Salesforce at all. Could just fire into a Google Doc if you want it to. How do you set that up? What CRM are you using, anonymous attendee? Capsule. Okay, so I haven't set it up with Capsule, but go and have a look at Zapier.com. So Zapier is a connector, basically. So it will connect. Let's say you're using Gravity Forms in WordPress. It will connect that to different CRMs. So go and have a look at Zapier. Off the top of my head, I don't know if they do have a Capsule connector, but go and have a look and see if they do. If they do, I'd start there. SKAGs, single keyword ad groups. Yeah, I think they can work. I think it depends on volume, basically. Good for quality score. If the volume's there, it's worth doing. If the volume's there, possibly not. Yeah. Why do you recommend excluding Google search partners from your search campaigns targeting? Again, I want really tight control, and I've seen. I mean, if you see great results from Google search partners, great, but I tend to see more consistent results when it's not selected. So I start without it, and then if I want to put it in, I can. But to start with, I'd rather just start off on one platform, tightly controlled settings, and go from there. Otherwise, you just don't. It's harder to control, basically. David,
we've got someone in the chat here. David.
Yeah, cool. To clarify, are you creating separate landing pages for each of those forms with hidden fields? Not always. Not always. You could have one form across multiple landing pages. Depends. So, like, if you have different resources, you'll probably want different landing pages for those. But you could do it with like one or two forms, but I'd keep it as simple as possible personally. If you need the landing pages for other reasons, i.e. conversion rate optimization or split testing, do them for that, but you should be able to kind of use forms across different landing pages. Yeah. Hope that answers the question. Again, it's kind of it depends, but you don't have to. Cool. I think that's probably it on the questions. Yeah, no worries, David. So I think that's probably it. If anyone's got any other questions, feel free to drop me a line on the email address in front of you. If not, really great having you on. I'll send around the recording tomorrow. And any questions, let us know, and have a lovely evening. Right. Cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.